We are back for another edition of Heart to Heart. My name is Elmira. I'm your host. First off, I'm going to tell you, you may notice I don't have as much light as normal. Our power literally just went out about 30 minutes ago due to the winter storm. But if for any reason this particular live stream does not reschedule for another date. But today, our topic is identity as a father. This is a conversation I've been looking forward to having. How are you there? See, that was easy.
Yes. So far it works. Let's see what happens. What happens going forward with the power and everything. But pleasure to hear from you. Pleasure to see you.
Yeah. How's everything going there for you today, Matus?
It's very good. It's very good. Like I told you, like I shared in the messages, I just held my first IG live. It was actually quite easy. I was introducing my new masterclass format that is going out on Friday. So I went for 30 minutes and it was quite nice. So thank you very much.
Nice. Okay. Well, speaking of doing your first IG Live, I know you have a second coming up, which is another child that's on the way. And that's kind of what we're speaking about today is fatherhood. What was one of the things that surprised you when you became a father for the first time?
That's a great question. So my daughter, she was born in 2019, so it's almost 6 years ago. And when she came, I feel the biggest shift that I experienced was that suddenly my emotional scale or the range of emotions that I was capable of feeling kind of grew overnight, right?
What?
Suddenly, I could suddenly feel so much joy and so much love and so much all this wonderful positivity, but at the same time, it kind of expanded. It's almost like this pendulum kind of suddenly started to swing in both directions, and so I found myself feeling all this anger and all this frustration much more than ever before. And so I feel, you know what? I feel like almost as if some internal switches kind of turn on or maybe turn off as you become a father or parent in general, as if you kind of activate some kind of mode, right? Some kind of identity inside, and suddenly you start to behave in ways that you never thought you would, right? So
What was one of the first things that shocked you with that pendulum switching? Because you said the emotions, the range of emotions just came in, but was there anything shocking? You're like, I never thought I would feel that way. Like, what's going on?
nice. So I feel it's almost like when you are healthy, you don't really appreciate that you are healthy. But when you are unhealthy, you suddenly feel like, oh, I have all these aches, all these problems. And so I didn't mind swinging into positivity, right? I wouldn't even notice. I would be joyful and happy, and like all this bundle of emotions. It's amazing. So there is something that I didn't really pay much attention to. What I paid attention to was really this intense rage. It was indeed rage. I wouldn't even call it anger. It was rage, out of nowhere. Like I feel like it was. Sometimes I would point it or kind of plug it onto something that was happening with my daughter. Like, oh, she's screaming or crying, or let's do something. Sometimes with my wife, but all in all, it was always inside me, right? And it was something that some people call generational trauma, or some people call conditioning. Uh, I would just call it like a new part or new identity that was kind of laying dormant, and now it activated, and suddenly you experience yourself differently. So that was for me shocking, because I saw myself experiencing myself as my father, and so it's a great man, and I take a lot of things after him. But this rage, I was like, I always thought I would sidestep this one, but no. So there was a work to do. There was work to do.
That's kind of interesting you talk about it because it's relevant to the work that you do. You help heal these traumas. They may be generational things or what have you. You're a master hypnotist. So how did your expertise in that area play into what you were personally experiencing?
I would say that that was actually something that that led me to hypnosis in the first place.
Oh,
You know, I wanted to fix myself, right? It wasn't that I became master hypnotherapist because I wanted to help others, like this, selfless act. No, not really. It was all about me, and only then it became about others. To be completely honest, but when I work with people, the base of my work is always something that I call emotional homes. I don't know if you heard about this or not. Have you ever heard
no,
about?
I haven't heard the emotional homes. No.
So this is a
Tell
concept
me.
that I share with people on in my content or mostly with my clients, and that is we all have been raised in a physical home or sometimes multiple homes, and we all have been raised in emotional homes. You can almost imagine it's almost like this pie chart of experiences, emotional states that you have been conditioned to experience over and over and over and over until they become so ingrained in you that you just take them wherever you go, right? And so
Mhm.
I didn't know it, but one of my emotional homes was anger. Obviously, there are positive and negative ones, but one of those was anger. And so I had work to do because if I wanted to navigate my life more resourcefully, I would want to maybe de-energize this anger and learn to navigate my life around a different emotional home. It's almost like you have a spaceship and you decide where you are flying and what planet you will be orbiting around. And so anger, right? Anger was there for some time, but then I realized, oh, I can actually take that energy and use it into enthusiasm and channel it into enthusiasm. And this is basically what I do. Like people sometimes they have it for years and sometimes it just switches on, just like we talk about today, and that is you become something else, right? You learned to live within your own labels that you carry. You are a brother, sister, you are a friend, and then suddenly you become parent, and it's like this new completely world opens up, and within that new identity. Sorry, there was a motorbike going around. With this new identity comes also new, maybe emotional homes kind of switching on, and suddenly you find yourself navigating life in a different. It's almost as if this pie chart kind of rearranges itself, and instead of, I don't know, 5 6 emotional homes, you have suddenly 8 9, and you are like, what the heck is happening, right? And
Like, where did all of that come from?
right. So that's I pretty much I believe that that's what I do with others. That's what I do for others, is to have a look at the layout of these emotional homes, and then, okay, what would you like to experience instead, right? And then work on, in for lack of better words, I'm gonna call it, work on de-energizing something that doesn't work for you anymore, and then
Mhm.
channeling that energy into something that might, right? Just like I was saying, anger can become enthusiasm, anger can become excitement, just knowing how to use that energy and channel it into something else.
Is that like from your own experience? Because you said you got into hypnotherapy to fix yourself first. From your own experience, is that like transmuting, that channeling, a simple process, or does it take a long time? What ends up happening?
Great question. Great question. So I believe that healing and changing and shifting these emotional homes is not a function of time. I believe that time has nothing to do with healing. I believe that healing is a function of appropriate mental steps. And once you take these appropriate mental steps, it can happen just like this. Just like when we talk about, I'm hosting this week a masterclass for shame, and I'm going to be showing people in 75 minutes how to de-energize and release shame. Now, when I say this, many people say, out there, many people say, no, it's not possible. Well, okay, fair enough. It doesn't have to be possible for everyone, right?
Right, right.
Just like when I say that if you are grieving, if you are struggling with grief, just like I was struggling with grief, just like it was my emotional home, you can resolve the grief within 7 days. And people say it's not possible. Fair enough? Doesn't have to.
I believe that. I'm with you. I'll let you continue, but I want to make this point because the work I do with helping people overcome breakup grief, that's literally what it is. I tell them we can resolve this quickly.
Quickly, yes.
And I have like a 6 week boot camp, but I've also had where I sat in one session with a client and they've gotten results because
Yes.
there's this misnomer healing has to require, oh, it's going to take years, or it's going to, like you mentioned with the shame masterclass you have coming up, 75 minutes, and people are like, oh no, that's not going to happen. But it's like it doesn't take a lot of time.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Yes. And it's interesting when I work with people. I just yeah. This one example comes to my mind. I was working with one of my closest friends that I got to know when we used to live in Australia, and we were very close. He's from Estonia. It's like this whole story, and he was struggling a couple of years back, and he came to me and he was like, look, Matus, I don't believe in any what you are doing. Like I believe it's all BS, but I believe you. So if you say that this works, I'm just gonna follow. And I told him, look, I don't need your belief in effectiveness of what we are doing. I just need you to follow these steps because these are the
Hmm.
steps I took, and they worked for me. So let us try, and let us try taking the same steps, and let's see what happens. And indeed, it always resolves in the same way. So I can't say that I'm an expert on all the emotions because I think nobody is, but I can safely say that based on my personal and professional experience over the last 38 years of my life, I am a great expert on shame, how to do it. I know, I have practiced 36 years of how to do it very deeply, and the last 2 years how not to do it at all. So, so it's one thing. I know quite a lot about grief, and I believe honestly that it's something that should be taught at schools, like how to resolve grief, because I believe that that's the only universal experience that we will all experience, and that is losing something, someone, or some ability. And if you don't know how to grieve properly, it can literally overtake your entire life, just like it did overtake mine, just like I saw it in my clients. And again, overcoming grief is a function of taking appropriate steps. Most of my clients, when I work with them, it doesn't take 7 days like I claimed in my videos. And some people
Hmm.
were, outraged, like, how can you say that? Like, sorry, if it offended you, then okay, it's not probably for you. But it takes literally 2 hours, right? 2 hours of focused work to do step one, step two, step three, until you are done with grief. And it works 100%, So if it doesn't work, then we probably didn't do the step correctly, and let's
Right.
backtrack and again, right? So grief, shame, betrayal. I have quite a lot of experience with being betrayed and how to kind of overcome that one. And the last one is loneliness. And so these are the ones that I have some experience, personal and professional. And plus, I'm throwing now anger out of the window for me, and into the basket of what I can kind of help people with. So if somebody comes with a different emotion, I assume that I can assist them, but I'm not claiming to be expert at all. These are all that I'm focusing on. But when you look at this palette, it's pretty much covering quite a lot of people's experiences out there, right? So
Yeah, that's true because it is a range of emotions. What do you say to, because we're of course talking about fatherhood here too. What do you say to a dad who doesn't want to experience some of those emotions? Like they had that experience you did when your daughter came in 2019, where the flood of emotions, the pendulum, they knew it was there, but now they're like, what do I do with it? It's like
right,
my
very right.
identity has
That's a good,
changed.
that's a good question. So just as we started this live, I released on YouTube a new video that is called are emotions your inner child? Because I believe that emotions are here for us to hold space for them, right? Many people believe that we need to understand them, like asking the question, and that's the worst question you can be asking, by the way, about emotions is why. That's like the emotion. That's like the question that if you want to get lost for years in therapy, start asking why, right? Why do I feel this? It's not important to understand emotions, right? Emotions are here to be held, to be witnessed, to be, for us to create space for them, and that's it. So I say, if a dad, hypothetical dad, is watching this and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do with these emotions, I would say, just imagine that they are your child and they also want to be just heard, just held, just witnessed. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to do anything with them. Just be with them. And people say, oh, no, but then they have become too overwhelming. Well, of course, they become too overwhelming because you haven't been paying attention for last 30, 40, 50 years. But trust me, you can handle it. Like you can handle it because it is your emotions are part of you. That is, you are not part of the emotion. Emotion will never be bigger than you. You can contain it if you focus on it. The only problem is, I believe, and this is something that I struggled with. I'm talking about it on video, and I say this to felt angry enough. Right now, she disappeared. Uh, so that's the secret.
My connection, like I told you, Howard, something went out, so I didn't hear the last bit.
Now I see. Now I see. Very,
Can you hear me? I'm not sure. This is this is what happens with
oh, you're back.
here.
You're back. You're back. You're back. Okay.
Can you
Okay. Slowly coming back. Slowly coming back. Yeah, we were talking about the connection.
hear?